Are you ready for a bedtime story?
All little girls throughout the ages have played with dolls. For some, it was their favourite toy that brought them happiness and entertainment. There are a large variety of dolls, with one of the popular ones being Barbie. I know I used to play with Barbie when I was really young, always imagined if she moved around with my other toys while I was out. The dolls that I'm going to talk about today certainly did move around and cause havoc to those near them. These dolls will not bring you happiness, but fear. Robert is probably one of the most famous haunted dolls. Robert stands 3 feet high and is dressed in a sailor's outfit and hat. Robert is thought to have been made by the Steiff Company in Germany at the start of the 1900s. Robert Otto belonged to one of the most prominent families in Key West of Florida. As a young boy, it is said that his grandfather had bought him the Robert doll while he was in Germany for the boy's birthday. It is said that a servant girl who was badly treated by the family took the doll and cursed it, as she herself was practicing dark magic and voodoo. Once she had cursed the doll, she returned it to the young boy, and that is when strange happenings began in the home. If anyone should pass the room of young Robert, they claimed to have heard 2 voices coming from the room, and when they entered, it was only Robert and his doll there. Robert had become obsessed with the doll. His parents and servants just thought that the young boy was pretending to be the second voice for the doll, so he had someone to talk to. Whenever there was accidents in the home, like items breaking, the young boy would always say the same thing: Robert did it, not me. At night, Robert the doll is said to have moved from place to place around the home. Giggles and footsteps were also heard, and this continued on for a very long time. When Robert Otto grew up, he became a painter and married Annette Parker. She had become concerned for her husband as the doll was always there with him. The wife became frightened of the doll when she claimed to have seen him move around and smash things. She asked her husband to put the doll in the attic, which he agreed to. Robert Otto passed away in 1974, and his wife Annette 2 years after him. Their house was sold to Myrtle Reuter, who was made aware of the doll in the attic. Myrtle would hear giggling and footsteps in the attic, and finally she had enough and decided Robert the doll had to go. She donated him to East Martello Museum in 1994, and that is where he has stayed. Flocks of visitors come to see the supposed haunted doll, and some would even take pictures of him. And this would be a mistake. It is said that if you do not ask Robert's permission to take a photo of him, he will cause disaster in your life for failing to respect him. People have written letters to Robert apologising to him for disrespecting him. It is said that Robert has caused car accidents, broken bones, a cornucopia, job loss and other misfortunes. Visitors have also claimed to have seen him move and facial expressions change. Mandy is a little porcelain doll that is said to be made around 1910. She was donated to Queensell Museum in British Columbia by her owner in 1991 because she was afraid of her. She would hear the doll cry every night, move around and hear her little footsteps. She would hear the cries coming from the basement, and when she would go and look, there was no one there, but a window was opened. She hoped giving the doll to the museum would help, but it didn't, and staff at the museum would now be her targets. She was placed at the front of the museum where she was easily seen by visitors, but had to be moved into her own case at the other side of the museum, as she did not play with other dolls. She destroyed them. She was locked in a room at one point by a staff member as they decided where to put her, and when the staff member returned to the room was trashed, as if Mandy had threw a temper tantrum. Other stories by staff would be that lunches go missing and later found in drawers. Office equipment would disappear, with some reappearing and others never seen again. Visitors who would go and see Mandy said the battery on their electronics would drain, cameras wouldn't work, and some seen her move, and other visitors have seen her eyes blink and follow them. Mandy was given a little toy lamb to keep her company, but one day it was found outside the case. No one knew how it got out, as it would have been when the museum was closed for the night, but they had a pretty good idea who the culprit was. Staff have been known that when Mandy gets unsettled, they would lift her from her case and comfort her by walking her around the museum or sitting her with them in the office. It is said that Mandy has the soul of a little girl inside her, and it explains why she wants all attention all the time. Like Robert the doll, Mandy has her own story. Mandy is said to be owned by a little girl who was mistreated and locked in a basement until she passed away. Supposedly the spirit of the little girl went into the doll, and when she was found with her Mandy doll, her founders claimed to have heard the child crying in the basement, but when they went down, the little girl was dead and her doll was crying not water tears, but tears of blood. Mandy has never known to do anything evil. She just wants attention and love, which she gets from the museum staff. Annabelle is one of the most famous haunted dolls in the world, so much she even has her own movies in the Conjuring collection. But what makes Annabelle so scary? Annabelle is not the pretty porcelain doll you've seen in movies, but a Raggedy Ann doll. She may look like a sweet doll you could let your child play with, but she is not sweet, and no adult, never mind a child, should ever touch her. Annabelle was given as a gift by a mother to her nursing student daughter Donna in 1970. Donna kept the doll in her apartment that she shared with a friend and fellow student Angie. When the girls were out, the doll would move around the apartment by itself. At first it would just be change position, but then it began to move from room to room, and this crept the girls out. Things got more strange when the doll began to leave notes asking for help. At one point it said, "Help Lou," who was a friend of the girls. Lou was staying over one night and claimed to have a nightmare with the doll attacking him by choking and scratching at him. Since the doll had come into the apartment, Lou has always felt uneasy about it and suggested Donna get rid of it, which she wouldn't, as it was a gift from her mother. The girls reached out to a medium and told the medium about what was going on. The medium told the girls that a young girl called Annabelle was inside the doll, and all she wanted to do was live with them, as she felt safe with the girls. The girls finally agreed to look after her and let the spirit of Annabelle enter the doll. This is when things got much worse. Agreeing to let Annabelle stay and reside in the doll let the demon, who was really in the doll, out to play and wreak havoc on the girls. The Warrens heard of the doll and decided to take it off the girls' hands. They told them that the spirit was in the doll was not a little girl, but a demon who meant them serious harm. The doll was out of their lives forever, and everything went back to normal. It is said while driving the doll to their home, the car in which the Warrens were driving stalled, sped up, manoeuvred towards trees. So Ed Warren got out of the car and sprayed the doll with holy water. When he got back in the car, the rest of their journey went easy. Annabelle is now locked in her own little display box at the Warrens Occult Museum in Connecticut, with a sign on the door saying, "Warning, positively do not open." It is said a priest comes by once a month to bless the museum with holy water, especially on Annabelle. A visitor to the museum once antagonised Annabelle, daring her to show how evil she really was, and they also banged on her glass case. On the way home, the male who had dared Annabelle died in a motorbike accident. So was this really the force of Annabelle, or merely a coincidence? Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in my next video.